If you own a high-mileage Toyota FJ Cruiser, are you up to date with all the maintenance Toyota recommends? Hey there everyone, welcome to FJX 2000 Productions and another episode of Let's FJ. My name is Hayden and today we are going to be discussing the official service and maintenance recommendations from Toyota so you will know how to best take care of your FJ Cruiser. This checklist of items will not only be valuable if you just bought a used FJ and want to make sure all your maintenance is up to date, but may serve as a good reminder for us longtime FJ owners. A few years ago, I found that the FJ Cruiser User's Manual and related paperwork has maintenance schedules with checklists of what maintenance to do at certain mileages. So to make my life easier, I compiled it into an easy-to-follow checklist, split up into what things should be checked every 5,000 miles, 15,000 miles, 30,000 miles, and so on. This checklist can be found on the FJ Cruiser forums, where you can then print it off, so I will leave a link for it in the description below. By the way, this video acts as part 2 to my last video going over all the things to check if you are looking to buy a used high mileage FJ. If you are here after viewing that, great. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend doing so. A quick shout out to all my subscribers. Thank you so much for your continued support of the channel. I really do enjoy making these videos and supporting the FJ community. I enjoy reading your comments and hearing about your FJ Cruisers, especially if my videos helped you find your FJ Cruiser. Let me know if that's the case for you, and if you like what you see, consider subscribing. Share the videos with your fellow FJ owners if you think it would help them out, and now, let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to check are all your FJ Cruiser's fluids. Especially if your FJ is high mileage, you never know for certain if the various oils have been replaced or serviced by the previous owners. So it's a great idea to climb under the FJ and begin the flush process. Begin with your engine or motor oil. For 07 to 09 FJs, 5W30 oil is recommended, and the OEM service reminder is set for every 5,000 miles. For 2010 plus FJs, Toyota recommends OW20 oil, and the service manual recommends it be changed every 10,000 miles. I'm sure that change in service mileage is due to newer cars being recommended to use synthetic oils that last longer compared to conventional motor oils, but Toyota still recommends inspecting and adjusting all fluid levels every 5,000 miles anyways. Additionally, Toyota recommends changing the oil every 5,000 miles, specifically for 2010 plus models, if you drive repeated trips less than 5 miles when outside temperatures are below freezing, think commuting to work in cold climates or during winter seasons, or if your FJ idles for long periods of time or you experience slow speed driving for long distances, like being caught in frequent long traffic jams. Next, you're going to want to change your FJ's front and rear differential oils. This oil is recommended to be replaced every 15,000 miles if you use your FJ for towing, or every 30,000 miles for regular use. Many diffs may never have had their oil changed, so swapping out that old diff fluid may be a really good idea, especially on high mileage FJs. On 07 to 08 FJs, the user's manuals were a bit more specific with which kind of oil to use, and it was honestly a little confusing to follow. But by 2009, Toyota settled on 75W85 oil for the front and rear diffs, as you can see here. Just check your diff oil when draining for any metallic shine or metal pieces. If you're getting chunky oil out of your diffs, you may have some bigger problems that need addressing. The next fluid to replace is going to be your transfer case oil. When the FJ has been towing or experiences frequent off-road use, Toyota recommends it be replaced every 30,000 miles. Otherwise, it is generally recommended to replace it every 60,000 miles. So again, if your FJ has higher mileage, it's going to likely be overdue unless the previous owner really stayed on top of maintenance. Toyota recommends using Toyota's Genuine Transfer Case Oil LF, or an equivalent gear oil like 75W90. If your FJ Cruiser is equipped with the popular 6-speed manual transmission, guess what? You have some extra maintenance to do. Toyota recommends replacing the manual transmission oil every 30,000 miles when your FJ is being used for frequent towing. Otherwise, they would have you change it out every 30 to 60,000 miles. One reason you might decide to swap it earlier is if you are experiencing some transmission shudder, a somewhat common occurrence for folks with manual FJs. Toyota says manual transmissions should use gear oil API GL4 or GL5 with SAE 75W90 viscosity. And regardless of how the FJ is used, Toyota recommends replacing your clutch fluid every 30,000 miles. The clutch fluid is the same as brake fluid, but Toyota specifically recommends this that you're seeing on the screen right now, but basically DOT3 brake fluid. If your FJ has the more common 5-speed automatic transmission, Toyota recommends replacing its transmission fluid every 60,000 miles when the FJ is being used for towing. Otherwise, every 60 to 100,000 miles for regular use. You'll hear rumors that Toyota uses a lifetime fluid in their automatic transmissions and that it never needs to be changed, but that's just false information. If that were the case, then why would they put fill and drain plugs on the thing? Every oil is built to be used and will break down with enough wear and heat over time. I replaced my own automatic transmission oil around 140,000 miles and it came out black. The new oil going in was clear and red, so I knew it was time for that flush. Toyota only really recommends using their own Toyota Genuine ATF WS, stating that any other fluid may cause deterioration in shift quality, locking up of your transmission accompanied by vibration, and ultimately damage to the automatic transmission. However, plenty of others and myself have used WS or world standard equivalent automatic transmission fluids. Some formulations are specifically recommended for use with Toyotas, and it works out fine. I used a brand called Idemitsu since I heard it had similar or higher performance than the Toyota fluid, but I'm sure other common brands like Valvoline have similar products. The final fluids to check are going to be your brake fluid, engine coolant, and power steering fluid. Toyota recommends the coolant be changed every 30,000 miles or every 2 years. Complete transparency here, this is the one fluid I have yet to change on my own FJ, and I have owned it since 2015. So this video serves as a good reminder for myself too. Toyota recommends using a Toyota Super Long Life coolant or similar high-quality ethylene glycol-based non-silicate, non-amine, non-nitrite, and non-borate coolant with long-life hybrid organic acid technology. Wow, that's a mouthful. The power steering fluid is recommended to be changed every 75 to 100,000 miles, so for those high-mile FJs, this is another one to add to the list of to-dos. Automatic transmission fluid Dexron 2 or 3 is recommended, but any newer version of Dexron 4, 5, or 6 is fully backwards compatible. And finally, Toyota recommends changing out your brake fluid every 2 to 5 years. And with our North American FJs all being at least that old, we've all got to do it. I mean, stopping is pretty important, right? Same as the clutch fluid, Toyota recommends SAE J1703 or FMV SS number 116 DO3. And in case DO3 is difficult to find, DOT4 and DOT5.1 fluids are backwards compatible and can be used in place of DOT3. But DOT5 is not backwards compatible since it is silicone-based rather than glycol-based and will lead to brake system damage. Now that you've changed all your FJ Cruiser's oils and fluids, we can look at other recommended maintenance. It's recommended to check your cabin air filter every 5,000 miles, but then replace it every 15 to 30,000 miles. If I had $1 for the number of pictures I've seen over the years where there's a mouse nest that has been built in the cabin air filters of FJs, I'd be able to buy another FJ. So just be sure you're checking and replacing that filter. You also want to replace your engine air filter every 30,000 miles. Though, if you have the TRD cold air intake like my FJ has, then those TRD filters are designed to be cleaned and reinstalled using something like the K&N filter, recharger, and cleaning kit, though you still might want to replace it eventually. Toyota also recommends every 5,000 miles that you are inspecting and rotating your tires, inspecting your brake pads and rotors, checking the windshield wiper blades, and for the proper installation of the driver's floor mat. That's because an improperly installed or unsecured floor mat could become wedged behind the brake or accelerator pedals and lead to an accident. Another thing you should be servicing every 15,000 miles are your front and rear propeller shafts. These are what come out of your transfer case and transfer the power to the front and rear axles. These shafts have U-joints which have greasable Zerk fittings, and making sure those are lubricated will extend the life of the U-joints and sometimes resolve clunking sounds that can come from the telescoping of the drive shaft when braking or accelerating. While you're lubricating the prop shafts, go ahead and re-torque the bolts on both ends as well. Wouldn't want them to work their way loose somehow. This isn't really an issue on FJs, but Toyota does recommend it. Another part of engine maintenance that needs attention are the spark plugs. Toyota recommended 07 to 09 FJs with the earlier engine type to replace the spark plugs every 30,000 miles. Meanwhile, for 2010 and up FJs with the newer style of engine, they changed the service interval to every 120,000 miles. I don't know why the interval change was so dramatic, but the spark plug gap for all FJs should be 1.1 millimeters. Earlier models recommended usage of the following Denso or NKG spark plugs, while the later models only recommended this Denso spark plug. Plus, the newer FJ User's Manual gives the notice that you should only use iridium-tipped spark plugs and not to adjust the gap when engine tuning. I replaced my 2008 FJ's spark plugs around 130,000 miles, so a bit overdue, but better late than never, right? Other than the things that we've already covered, there will of course be many other items you should check periodically. Toyota even lists out items that should be checked every 5,000 miles when off-roading or before and after off-roading trips. These are parts that can wear out at different intervals and may need repair or replacement. In addition to inspecting fluid and oil levels in the diffs, transfer case, and transmission, one should also be checking their brake pads and rotors, brake lines and hoses, the ball joints and dust covers, the CV axle boots, the steering linkage and steering rack, various bolts and nuts on the chassis, including the skid plates, the sway bar bolts and nuts, the front and rear shocks with their mounts, and the control arms and rear links. You never want any of the nuts or bolts on these things to be coming loose, so pay attention when you're inspecting them. And especially when driving, check for new noises or changes in the feeling of the vehicle. One time while I was off-roading in Moab, I noticed a new clanking sound periodically, so I stopped and inspected the FJ to discover a front sway bar nut had come loose, allowing the sway bar to destroy my CV axle boot, flinging grease all over the wheel well. An unfortunate problem which ended the off-roading fun, but luckily I was able to still drive home safely and make the necessary repairs. Toyota also lists other parts which should be inspected and changed periodically, including the exhaust pipes and their mountings, the fuel system, including its lines, connections, fuel tank band, which can rust and break, and fuel vapor vent system hoses. You'll also want to check the fuel tank gas cap, the radiator and condenser, the engine belts, which are prone to cracking and wearing out in certain climates, and of course the various bulbs around the FJ, like the headlights, the mirror lights, turn signals, and brake lights. One interesting specific item to inspect that was only listed for the 07 to 09 FJs was to check the engine's valve clearance. Not sure if anyone has ever done that, as it would require disassembly of the engine, but if you're ever replacing a head gasket, then maybe it would be a good opportunity to do that. Now of course, some of this information won't apply to you if your FJ has two-wheel drive only, but hopefully if you're a new owner of any used FJ Cruiser, this gives you a comprehensive overview of what you should be inspecting to ensure your FJ is running and performing as good as new. It may be overwhelming at first, but all this maintenance doesn't have to happen in one go. Just use that checklist I've provided and knock one or two items out here and there, and before you know it, you'll be all caught up. By doing these suggested items from Toyota, I'm sure you'll be doing yourself and your FJ a favor by extending the lifespan of the FJ for many years and thousands of miles to come. Let me know if this list has helped you or what other maintenance you suggest people check or inspect on their own FJ Cruisers. I'm excited for some video plans I have coming up soon, so be sure to subscribe and be informed when those videos are released. But until then, thanks for watching, keep on FJ cruising, and take care.